Welcome everyone, and this is my video on data types, and this is what you need to know. So we're going to start at the very most basic concept, and it's called a bit, and this is going to be a 0 or a 1 in the computer. It's basically the most basic part of a computer's knowledge. It's on or off, true or false, very simple operations, and it is denoted with a lowercase b for bit. If you see an uppercase b, that means byte. So capital M, lowercase b is megabit, capital M, uppercase b is a megabyte. Now what is a byte, you might ask? A byte is simply going to be 8 bits. So you have 1 bit, which is the smallest one, you have 8 of those, you're going to have yourself a byte. And now from here you can kind of get more into easier terms that you've probably heard, like megabyte, gigabyte. These are all just different step ups from the same term of byte. Instead of saying, I have 8 million bytes, we make easier terms, kilobyte, megabyte, which are each going to be increments of 1024 of the previous. So a kilobyte, for example, is 1024 bytes. A megabyte is going to be 1024 kilobytes. A gigabyte is going to be 1024 megabytes, and so on and so forth. Now you might wonder, how high do we need to get these numbers to? What do we use today? Mostly today, you don't really talk in the bytes because it's such small information. Today you'll see kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, you even go up to terabytes. Petabytes we're just getting into. Exabyte, not so much, not yet in this world. And just give you guys a little reference for scale. A DVD, typical DVD is 4.38 gigabytes. Typical Blu-ray is about 25 gigabytes. A petabyte, which is probably one of the terms you might not be so commonly heard, that is going to be roughly 240,000 DVDs or 41,000 Blu-rays. An exabyte is going to be even more than that. It's going to be about 250 million DVDs, almost 43 million Blu-rays worth of data, so it's crazy amounts of data. Alright guys, and the last thing you probably need to know about data is going to be the difference between your internet speeds and your storage. So you'll see different terms people use, usually in bits. When talking about the internet, you'll see gigabit, megabits and stuff like that, but when you store stuff you'll talk gigabyte, megabyte. Now why do you think they use these? A lot of people go to the conclusion of, oh well, bits are smaller, so you can say, oh, I have more of those and it looks better for advertising, but honestly that's only partially true. The main reason though is because over the internet every single package of data is going to be transferred bit by bit, so that's why they advertise it in bits. If it's 10 gigabit, that means whatever that comes out to, the gigabit to the bits, data is transferred. But if you're talking about hard drive storage, these days nothing can really be stored in bits, which is the main difference, because even a character on your keyboard is going to be 1 byte. It takes 8 bits for your computer to store the letter A, let's say. So there's really no reason to say, hey, you have 82,000 bits in your iPhone, when it's really doesn't matter, because you really need to measure it in bytes. So you'll see you're getting the new whatever 64 gigabyte iPhone, not measured in bits. But internet speeds, you'll be like, oh, you can get 5 megabits per second, because all the data transferred over the internet is measured in bits because it's transferred bit by bit. But storing the data, you have to store at least a byte to get any worthful data in your computer. And when it comes to phones, you'll see 3G, 4G, 4G LTE, and all these other terms. These are just different terms for the phone companies on the generation of the internet that you're having on your phone. So 3G is the 3rd generation of whatever it is, and that's really old. 3G came out in 2003. At that point, the standard was a minimum of 144 kilobits per second on your internet on your phone, and that's really all that it means. 4G was just the next standard. This is the 4th generation, much faster obviously than 3G. And then the LTE actually stands for long-term evolution, and this is basically just another iteration of 4G. It's 4G LTE versus 4G. The LTE basically, it just says it's 10 times faster than 3G. It's just another iteration, just slowly better speeds, but all that depends on your signal obviously, and it varies by location and by whatever carrier you're using. So it's kind of hard to get into those details because obviously it's not going to be the same for everyone, but that's the gist of it. 3G, 4G, 4G LTE, they're all just different ways of portraying different levels of speeds on your phone. And that is about it, guys. If you have any questions about this, any more details you want me to go through, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, and I'll see you guys in the next one.